Good evening, everyone. Welcome. Thank you for joining us. My name is TJ,
I'm Amanda.
and we have our lovely guest, Mr. Hoodoo Sen Moise, joining us this evening. How are you, sir?
I'm okay. How y'all doing?
Oh, we're doing fantastic. So, weather good down there in New Orleans?
It's actually all right. It's not as hot as it normally is, so that's a plus.
Hey, that's a blessing.
Yeah, exactly. We don't have a lot of cases of swamp ass running around here so right at the moment.
Yeah, it's never good.
Mhm.
Well, thank you for joining us tonight. Amanda, would you like to again do a nice little introduction of someone here, or do you want?
You can.
Oh, okay. Well, we have Mr. Hoodoo Sen Moise. If y'all don't know who he is, where the hell you been? First off, Mr. Hoodoo Sen Moise is what we call a Tata Nganga in Palo Mayombe, and he is also a Hugan Nasagwe in the Haitian Voodoo. He also has written a book. He has another coming out soon, but his current book that he has with Red Wheel Wiser is called Working Conjure. So we are blessed to have him. We've known him for several years now, and it's always awesome to hear from you. Whenever you talk, everyone's listening. At least they should be.
Well, that's what they say. They need to. Because I don't like to repeat myself,
No, you don't.
No, you don't.
So, what do you think of this little fancy platform we got here?
I'm still trying to figure it out. I'm looking around. I'm like, what is all this?
Uh-huh.
Because we all know that I'm not the most technologically advanced individual.
Well, you are being live streamed on YouTube and also on Facebook with us. So I wanted to let you know
Okay.
Will that have questions? It will pop up. I don't know if you can see that, like that right there. Jed said that was a nice intro. I can pop that up there for you and then take that down. So if anybody has a question.
Yeah. I will tell you, I can't see the comments that are coming in on my end. So
I got you.
Me either.
Yeah. Can you see it when I do that?
Yeah.
I do that. I do that. It looks like Jed has a T-shirt that says "Village the Witch" on it.
Nice. Village Witch. I love it.
So that's good.
Mm-hmm.
That's good.
Yeah.
Yes. So far we got people who are just saying hello, just like Tim Marie, she's just saying hi to everyone. And we got Lori who's saying hello as well.
Hi, y'all.
You got Lisa in here. Mm-hmm. So if y'all have any questions at all, don't hesitate. You feel free to ask. Papa, did you want to tell us a little bit about yourself as well?
Well, yes. Oh, wait. Hold on. Oh, I figured it out. Now I can see him, y'all.
Okay.
Lord.
Uh-huh.
Hey, Chris and everybody else. How y'all?
Yeah, there's Chris. Hey, Chris, good to see you. And then there's Freeman. Freeman really likes your book. This is a great guy. He really enjoys your book.
Freeman's actually a good friend of mine in Birmingham. So, Freeman, when you get a chance, go down and see Papa at Conjure, New Orleans.
Oh, hell. You two. I lock you two in a room. That's trouble.
Yeah.
Well, just a little bit about me is, like you said, like I'm a Tata Nganga in Palo Mayombe. I'm an Ungana Sogwe in Haitian Voodoo. I was raised in Southern Conjure or Hoodoo, whichever term you decide to use. And have been, in this for, how old am I now? 38 years. I'm 42, but I've been in it for 38 of those 42 years. And for me, one of the biggest things about me is that, like, what I'm always looking to do is to, if I can, to facilitate a magical change in somebody. Bonsoir. Jean-Yela, mon chéri.
Hey, I think this is Lily, by the way.
It is. It is.
Wait, who? I didn't see that.
Oh no, it's Miss Lily's. You want to say it?
Lily is Freeman's wife, I believe.
Oh, okay.
So, yeah, they're
Hey,
friends.
Yvette. What you doing? Oh, we got to talk, Yvette. I'm just saying.
Shannon's here.
All right.
Yvette, we need to get a hold of you. We need to talk about Detroit.
Yvette, Shannon, yes, indeed. Oh, Lord. But what I was saying is that like in this work, it's something that was born to facilitate change, a magical change in a condition that was going on at the time. And, that is something that has carried on and essentially become one of the foundation stones of these traditions. I'm going to call you, Yvette. Yes, I am. I already know I'm going to call you, yeah. But for me, like, whenever the opportunity and the ability is there to help to facilitate change in someone's life, to change a condition or what have you that's going on, like that's primarily like where like my passion and my heart and my drive is, because I am someone who believes that like there is the potential for change, growth, and how you say relationship, especially when it comes to with your own spirit, for everyone. And I think that a lot of times what happens is that we have so many people that like to pontificate on things, and they pontificate and they don't give you shit, to do to actually facilitate a change. And if you can't do that, then why the hell are you even in this? You know what I mean?
Yeah. Yeah.
No, you're right. Because there's several ways to make money other than through this, and it's probably a hell of a lot easier.
Yep,
Mm-hmm.
it sure is. For me, this isn't like about the money or anything like that. Like for me, what this has always been more about is being able to facilitate a magical change. But when the demand became something that literally like, okay, like if I can't focus on my job and I have to focus on this, then guess what? If I need to focus on this, then this needs to be what pays the rent. This needs to be what pays my bills. If I'm going to be focused on that, and honestly, there's nothing wrong with that, because in all things there must be some sort of an exchange. Like back in the day, instead of like coins and money, it would be like a chicken or a goat or a pig or something along those lines, which was the equivalent to that, because what did that do? Is it put what food on the table? So when you get right down to it, it's the exact same thing, though the medium is different. You see?
Yeah.
Now, do you still do trade, or do you do just strictly for like coin?
So, well, actually, that's how you say, like, there's several answers to that question. And that question, the answers to that is that, yes, I do coin. Will I do trade? Yes. But also the other thing is that, and this is what people don't know, is that, well, actually y'all might know, but is that, there are, quite a few times throughout the year when like I will do work for somebody, just to do the work. Because when that need is so great, if I can be of assistance, then I will. And sometimes, you have to do things, quote, how do they call it? What do they call it? Pro bono.
Pro bono.
Sometimes, those things need to be done because whatever is going on at the time, presents a need that is greater than whatever, coin or trade that the individual may have on the, at that moment. And so, for example, like I have, there's a client of mine who she had an issue. She had an issue with finding lumps in her breast and stuff. And when it comes down to something like that, I'm not going to be like, oh, it's going to be $1,000, for that. I'm be like, nope. I was like, just give me this, and let me go to work, and I got you. The end. No questions asked. I don't give a shit. Like, I'm not asking you for nothing. But again, when we are vessels, what we have is a duty and an obligation to facilitate a magical change in someone else. So if we can do that, then then we need to. Because I've got like all day long, people like, oh, can you give me a reading about is my man coming back and shit? And I'm gonna charge the fuck out of you for that. I'm promise you that now.
Yeah. No, I fully agree. We have clients like that too, where you just feel obligated that it's part of the spirit's calling for you that you need to actually do that work and not charge.
Yeah, I mean, but and as with anything, there must always be there always must be a balance present there. Everything has to be balanced out.
Mm-hmm.
Yes.
And so like when I do work for people, do I always charge for the work? No. But I do charge for work. Yes. Mm-hmm. I will. Depending on what the work, is or may entail, and depending on the need of the individual, that will determine, what happens or what doesn't happen.
Mm-hmm.
But the other thing that, folks also need to understand is that, sometimes, we can get, how you say, we can get worn thin, and, because, and y'all know me, like, I never ask anybody for nothing. Never. I won't.
Mm-hmm.
But that doesn't necessarily mean that I don't need something, but I just won't do it because I'm not going to be a burden on someone else. But and that's something that like me personally that I have over the years, I've kind of struggled with a little bit because when it comes down to it, like there are things that at times that I that I need too, but the way that I was raised was that if you need it, you better go get it.
Yeah. And
that's just the way that it is.
You want to tell him or you want me to tell him?
What?
Yeah.
That you ain't a burden. You are far from being a damn burden to any of us.
Oh. Well, I mean, I'm just saying, like, I won't do that. I'm not going to. I'm not going to do that. Just because, again, like, when it comes to me and like the way that I was raised, like that's just, how it is.
Mm-hmm.
Hey, Joanne.
Yeah, there's Joanne.
Hey, guys. Thank you. What?
And I think the big thing about you, Papa, is that you're very relatable to people. People definitely see them a lot in themselves in you. And likewise, I'm sure you feel the same way. You see a lot in your people that you work with.
Yeah, and that's very true. You know, like I think that one of the best things that anyone can do is if you can make a connection with someone, but make that connection and honor that connection, as opposed to make that connection and take advantage of that connection.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
I think that that's one of the best things that anyone, that anyone can do, because what it does is it opens things up. And, when you can open things up, then you have the ability to really not only relate, but also to work more effectively with someone. Because, like, when people come to me all the time, they come to me about this and this and this and this. And like, for me, it's like, okay, well, if I don't feel that, like, if there's not that, like, that connection that's there, then what I'm going to do is I'm going to send you to someone that I trust, to do that work for you.
Mm-hmm.
I'm not going to just, take it upon myself, because I and no one else, nobody, and I don't give a shit who you think you are. Nobody can be everything to everyone. No one can.
No. I fully agree with you on that one. I mean, I've had to send people away as well. It's just, if you have that connection, that's wonderful. But if not, send them to somebody else. Who can?
Well, exactly. And that's the thing, is that, because there may be someone else who, how you say, who has a need, but there's a better connection with you as opposed to with me.
Yeah.
And so therefore, what am I going to do? I'm going to send them to you, because at the end of the day, what I want for whatever it is, whatever work or whatever that needs to be done, to do its job for them.
Yeah.
And sometimes a lack of connection, no matter how, quote, powerful the worker is, if that connection is not there, it can create a block.
Yes.
In that work that's being done.
Well, not only
you must have that in order to, again, this is about effectuating a magical change in a condition. So you want to make sure that that road is open in such a way that that change can be made.
Absolutely. And I think Freeman's making a great point here. He said there could come a day when you have an extraordinary need, and you'd hate to think that that you wouldn't let your friends help you out when you need it, And that's where I've always been, and Amanda's been the same way, is that we have a strong belief is that, you build your network, and you know who people are, that what they do. Somebody could need something that's a Kabbalistic thing. And, that sure as hell ain't in the realm of what we do. Or you might have somebody who needs to have something where it's an exorcism. You know what I mean? And you just aren't, there's other people that are more prepared to do something of that nature better than you are.
Right. And that's why, we, establish relationships with other people, and we begin to know them. Because as priests and as priestesses, what do? We establish relationships and begin to know people. And that is one of the reasons why. Mm-hmm. Because we would be remiss in our duties if we didn't do that. Because, there may be somebody that does something, that I don't do. Mm-hmm. But I need to have somebody to send them to. Again, when you try to be everything to everybody, guess what? It's not going to work. And it's just not. So sorry. Sorry to rain on your parade, but it ain't going to work, because You're not the all powerful, Mambo Ugan druid, witch, whatever else term you want to use. It doesn't work that way. Bonsoir, mon chéri, qui Jean you est là?
Yeah.
So, so that doesn't, that's not what works. And and the other thing is like it's not about seeking attention or having to be the center of attention, because as Amanda, I'll be doing like the shit in the back of the house a lot, because I don't give a shit about like oh look at me, look at me, look at me. I don't care about that. All I care about is that the work is getting done. That's all I care about. Nothing else.
And that's very true. Very true. I'm very much the same way, even though I let people talk more than me. I'm like, I'll just stay in the back. I'm with you on that one.
I just do it because you won't.
And then that happened right there. See, that happened.
Yeah.
But there's a time. I mean, there is a time for us. There is a time for for us to to be in the middle, because people need to understand a point that only you can deliver. And there's a time for us to be in the background. As a priest or as a priestess, what is our number one job? Our number one job is to do what? Is to serve. That's our job, period. And that serving is whatever it is. I cannot tell you how many times, I cannot tell you how, like, I've either been like, fucking plucking chickens, or, like, cleaning like, doves, or, breaking down like, a goat or whatever. I can't tell you how many times that's gone on. And, is that the thing that people in the limelight do? No.
They're there. Oh my God! I don't want to clean the chicken.
Well, exactly. And that, but the thing is that, like, and it's like I said before, as long as the work gets done, that's what matters more than anything.
Yes.
And I can tell you this, like, I can do all that. I can pluck a damn chicken. I'll be sitting out there like, I was actually at there's a story, and you'll have to ask your godbrother about.
Okay.
I was at a damn a ceremony. It was they were feeding Orishas. I'm not an Orisha priest, not at all. Nan one. I'll tell you point blank. Nope. But I was invited to come, and I said, okay, I came, and I said, what can I do? What can I do? I said, I'm not a priest in this tradition, but what can I do? And you know what I did? I sat out there and I was plucking chickens all fucking day.
Yep.
So, at the end of the day, whatever is necessary to be done, that's what gets done, because that is what makes the work do what it needs to do. That's what, extends, that work. And not only that, but at the same point in time, what you're doing is you're relating to community. We don't have to be in the same tradition to get along. We don't have to be in the same tradition, to, see eye to eye. There may be things that we agree with and maybe things that we don't agree with one another. But you know what? Every person has to work out their own salvation. So if I'm at a ceremony of yours and this is what needs to go on, okay, fine. Give me the damn chicken. I got this. And because, like, honestly, like, and this is one of the things that that has over the years really, really, really bothered me a lot is that I will tell you now, I fucking hate the term spiritual community because that is the biggest oxymoron that anybody could have ever come up with. Because the only thing that goes on in the quote spiritual community is a whole bunch of infighting where everybody wants to be the center stage and they want to be the middle of attention for this, and this. And, for what? For what? We all have the things that we need to do. We all have our jobs that we need to do. But some folks can't see past their own fucking nose to see the bigger picture. That's what they're always looking for. Because again, I always got to be the center of attention. Lord, everything must be about me. Sit your ass down because ain't nobody got no time for that crap.
Yeah.
But it's the truth. It is the damn truth. Everybody tries to go after everyone else, and they're like, "Oh, well, this person, they're going to do this, and this person is going to do that, and this person, they stole my recipe because they're wanting to reproduce this or that." At the end of the day, does it matter? No, it doesn't fucking matter because you know what? Your recipe is your recipe.
Yep. Exactly.
So, it's like there's a saying that, what is the saying? Let me try to remember it correctly. It's like, you can often try to replicate, but you can never duplicate me.
Yeah.
It's truth. So it doesn't matter. Like, for example, like if I make, I don't know, like if I make a soap, that's for uncrossing, and I made that, and that soap is made, and that's what it's for, and that's what I made it for. There'll be like 50 other motherfuckers that have made the same soap.
Yeah.
But the difference is that soap is your soap, and mine is mine.
Yes.
So what we have to learn to do is we have to learn to take our egos out of these things, and we have to learn to put in the work. That's it. What you doing, Izzy? I see you in there. Huh? What you doing, huh?
Hey, Izzy.
It better not be snowing over there. I'm just saying. Just so as you know. Because I ain't trying to come up in there in December in the snow. So you better keep that weather under control yet.
Ask Amanda about the shoes she saw for you today.
No. Oh,
they were trying to be wearing those shoes.
They were Crocs with fur in them. I'm not kidding you. I was like, how?
I might could wear that.
Well, I'll get you a pair.
Bonsoir, Mambo Yansa. How are you?
You brought up a good point. I mean, I've always had the mentality of, there's the people that need me will come to me. And if I can't help them, I'll lead them to somebody that can. Because I think that's the whole point, is to help those that, that I can. And if I can't, I'm going to send them to somebody that I know. I mean, that was the whole, I think if we worked more together and not point and turn and get the ego out of it. I think that's, yeah.
Well, that's the thing, is that when you remove your pride and your ego from the work, all you're doing is you're opening a door for your spirits to come in to facilitate that work that's being done. That's what you're doing. Yeah. People love to, they love to be like, oh, me, and I, and me, and blah, 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 blah. Quite frankly, I don't give a shit. I could care less. Don't care. I mean, you do you. Please do you. I don't care.
But that's what makes you such a good papa, though, is because literally you're willing to do every level of what it takes to do to make that happen. And I think that's the thing is if you're going to be a, they to say too many chiefs, not enough Indians. If you're going to be a chief, you got to be able to, wash the dishes, pluck the chicken, whatever.
Sure.
And that's the thing.
I can tell you, like, there have been times where, like, I've been down in Haiti, like, working a ceremony or something, and do you know what I'm doing? The fucking laundry. That's what I'm doing.
I believe it.
Yeah.
And they don't got washing machines. Like, they don't. No. We do it the old school way. They ain't no washing machines. No. But it does what it needs, what needs to happen so that those things not only can continue, but at the same point in time, it effectuates the changes that are needed for whatever it is that's going on.
Mm-hmm.
Yes.
And what's... Oh, ain't that the truth, Yvette? Come on now. I know you know.
Yeah.
You and I done had us some conversations before, yeah. I know you know. Yes.
Yeah. And that's...
Go ahead.
No, you go ahead. I'm sorry.
No, I was just gonna say it's like when it comes to the to the work and to these traditions, like whether it be Conjure, whether it be Voodoo, whether it be Palo, whatever, they're powerful. They absolutely are. But what makes them even more powerful is when somebody has the ability to remove their own pride and ego from it and fulfill the obligation that they have as either a member, a priest, or a priestess. Because that is the time where those changes come into play. And that is the time where you can actually effectuate a change in someone's life. And that is what is most important. The most important thing is not being the center stage in the middle of the limelight and blah, 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 blah. So you can be like one of those fucking televangelists, like who'll be on talking about, oh, here come the offering plate, whatever, like that has nothing to do with this. But in the quote spiritual community, that is something that you see that is very common.
Yeah.
Very common. Because, oh, why are you doing this? Why didn't I get to do this? Or, I'm doing this, so I'm just going to go out and be like, oh, look at me. What the hell does that have to do with anything? Nothing. So why? What's the point?
Who are you really serving at that point?
Exactly. And that's why those kind of people can suck it.
Yeah.
Oh, man. Well, Papa, I'm curious. I've always wanted to know, and you feel free if you're like, shut the hell up and go right ahead. But I've always wanted to know, what is it like growing up with Conjure? As far as your experience of having your grandfather being there for you, showing you the ropes from when you were a wee little.
One of the most important things to understand when it comes to this, really, it's not the work. It's not.
Right.
But it's the culture. And it's the culture. It's the culture of the ancestors. It's the culture of, elevation and the culture of relationship of those ancestors. Now, those things come together. They absolutely do. Because in Conjure, you cannot have one without the other. You must have both. You can talk about how I'm going to put these 3 roots on a plate and I'm going to fucking put some wax on it and throw it against a gravestone and it's going to do. No, it ain't. No, it's not. But you must have both. And so for me, the culture behind this is the most important thing, even more important than the work, because if you can understand the culture, then you can truly understand what the work is. And you can truly understand that when it comes down to it, both of those things come together, and what they do is they create that system that forms the change that's needed in someone else's life. So really, is it? Really?
I can get my Bible if you need me to.
No, I know. They ain't gonna know what's gonna happen. I'm gonna pass the offering plate. That's what's gonna happen. Let me pass it right quick. Hold on.
What's your Cash App? We'll throw it down.
Like for real. God. Lord. But I mean, it's it becomes like it's an experience that you like when you're growing up in, that just it turns into something that is second nature. It turns into something that you just do, and you're not even thinking about it, but you just do. And that's what I mean by when I say the culture behind it versus the work. The two come together. It's one of those things to where like you don't have to think twice, and you don't have to go look in like your book of shadows for like a ritual that you have to do on like the 32nd blue moon of the month of July on the second Sunday or whatever it is. Like it just is, because you think about how this work was birthed. This work was not birthed out of convenience, but it was birthed out of necessity.
Yep. Like Yvette said.
And the thing that was necessary, exactly. And the thing that was necessary is there was a need for a change. And this birthing of this magical work came from that need for a change. Mm-hmm. Because remember, when Conjure was born, it was born out of the necessity and a rebellion of slaves that were brought here during the Middle Passage to create a magical change to the condition of the slavery that they were under, of the slave masters that they were under. And a lot of people don't like to hear that because it makes them uncomfortable, and it makes their booty holes go like this. And so guess what? But that's the way that it was. So like in Conjure, we do not work by the phases of the moon. We do not work by any of that shit, because when this work was birthed, it was birthed out of a necessity for a change that had to happen right now.
Yeah.
Because if it didn't happen right now, what would happen? You would either be beaten, tortured, raped, or murdered. Pick one.
Yeah.
That's just the way that it is.
Yeah.
That's very true.
So, so when you get down to it at the end of the day, when it comes to conjure work is something that, is magic born out of necessity, as we know it in this country.
Yes.
Okay, that's yes, I said booty hole, Izzy. Yes, I did, because that's the truth. Your booty hole go because people don't like to talk about things that make them uncomfortable.
That is true.
So guess what? I'm going to bring it up.
It's true.
It's definitely a way of life and a way of, and I think if you really look at the different areas of even the U.S., if you look at it, it's just different cultures in different ways because of how the different circumstances, if you really look at it. And when you go down south, you see where, especially where the hoodoo and the conjure, like it's noticeable. It's changeable, even the ways. I mean, it's just things are done differently.
Sure, absolutely. Like, you come down here. There's a specific graveyard I could take you to down here, and there ain't nothing but work in there. It's all work. There's all kind of conjure work going on up in there, and it's everywhere. I can walk you through and be like, see that, and you see that, and you see that, and you see that, and you see that. Yep. Oh yeah. Like because again, not only is it the way that you live, as Yvette said, because Yvette is 1,000% correct.
Yes.
On that, but it's also taking the way that you live and applying it to create that change that is needed. It's both of those things together, and that is what creates the power. Conjure is something that is backed by the ancestors, formulated by the culture, and carried out by the work. And y'all can quote me on that if you want to.
I love it.
So yeah. Then there's that.
Joanne goes, even in witchcraft, you're in need. You do the deed. That is true. That is true. But if you look at witchcraft compared to conjure, it's way more planned out. And it's way more, and that's just both. I mean, it's just you do plan out.
Witchcraft is so vague, though.
Well, the one thing that I will say is that, there's a lot of witches that I know. There's a lot of witches that I know and that I've heard stories from that were actually kind of interesting and actually, in a way, similar to conjure work. Like there would be certain sigils and stuff that what they would do is they would make them out of wax. This was one of the stories that I heard. They would make them out of wax, and if somebody came knocking at the door or whatever, they would, that they didn't know or what have you, they would take the wax thing that had the sigil on it, and they would put it in the fireplace so it would melt, so they wouldn't know, so they could disguise it. Which in some ways that's very similar to to what conjure work has become even in the voodoo. Yeah. When it came to to the saints coming into the voodoo. So I think that there are so many how you say similarities that's that may be there, but a lot of times what it is that we end up arguing and fighting over this and this and this and this, which I'm not saying that the traditions are the same, because they absolutely are not, but I think that there are that there are some similarities, and one of the biggest parts of those similarities, I think, has comes from persecution.
Yes. Yeah. Well, I think if you look at the folk magic, in witchcraft, and then you look at conjure, that's where you see the similarities, because a lot of it is done in secrecy. A lot of it is done in every way, and that's yeah.
I agree. I agree. I think that there's a very valid point in that, and when those things are were done, and the reasoning behind why they were done, I think that it does create some similarity. Now, again, will I say that the two are the same? Absolutely not. I will not say that, because they are not the same. But I think that there are some similarities there, or how you say, common ground.
Yes.
There And I think that the primary, like the primary ground or the primary common ground there had to do with like persecution.
Yeah, I would agree with that.
But then again, you've got one side. You have one side of the coin, which was basically, either this magic is going to do the work that needs to be done, or I'm going to die. And then you had, maybe, which again, I don't know for sure. I'm not a history major, just so you know. But yeah, the other side was that, well, I could do this work, but I might be all right. I might not be. I don't know.
Right.
Because at the end of the day, what happens is that, like when it comes to conjure work, the reason why that it was birthed was because, again, there was a need to not only rebel against the slave master, but there was a need to overcome, the conditions that were going on during that time. Now, would I ever mix like conjure and witchcraft, or conjure and voodoo, etc., etc.? The answer is no, because they don't come from the same place. There may be there may be a similarity here or there. Absolutely, there may be, yes, but at the same point, this isn't like going into the wheat field and gathering, the wheat, and then going to the cornfield and gathering the corn, and then going to the bean field and gathering the beans, and then calling them all the same, because they're not.
Yeah.
They all have each one has their own story, and each one has their own reasoning, and those things must be honored. Those are things that you don't just like throw into a mixing bowl and then call it a day, because they must be honored each in and of itself.
Hold on one second.
He just went back to bed. You're fine. So, it looks like Joanne was trying to say that, well, in Italy, Christians persecuted the pagans, so they hid the work as well.
A lot of people did.
Mm-hmm.
A lot of people, they did because they had to, and that's what I was saying before, was that one of the common threads in all of these traditions is persecution.
Yeah. And I think that's the common ground that is there, with a lot of them, is that, you had to disguise it because, not everybody's comfortable with it. I mean, with us being in Indiana, I know it's one of those things where I give a shit. I don't hide who we do, what we are. But, most people just automatically assume that you are Christian, or that you voted for Mike Pence or whatever.
God. Lord.
Amanda got to shake his hand. Did you know that?
Big day.
You probably will never wash that hand again.
You know it.
Oh, that's probably Donald on line 1 right there. He needs somebody to help him with his taxes now.
Hold on. You already know, yeah.
You're going there, aren't you?
But yeah, I mean, when it comes down to it, like for me at least, like these traditions, I'm not the type of person who half-asses anything. I don't like that half-ass bullshit. I don't do that. Like, for these traditions, I would lay my life down for, because I know the importance of them. And one of the things is, like, for me at least, is that just as the ancestors did back in the day, is to keep these things going, to keep these things being passed on, to keep these things, alive. Because, I mean, you can look around and see that, times have changed and the way that people do things, have changed. And so just because those things have changed doesn't mean that we need to change what we do. Because what we do, not only does it pave the road for the future, but it also honors the road of the past. And those are things that must go hand in hand. In order to know where you're going, you must know where you came from. You see.
I think that's been the biggest issue with, Conjuring specifically is that you have so many people that aren't willing to know where this work came from, and appreciate, the road that was paved before them.
No, because they want to put some fucking rose petals down next to a candle and call that some conjure work. Get out of my face.
Yeah.
No. That ain't how that shit works. Sorry. So sorry to disappoint you, but no. Those little pretty pictures that you see, and I saw a picture, was it yesterday? I don't know. I think it was yesterday. Somebody had sent me this picture, and it was like this setup, this pretty setup that was, looked like it was made on a stage of Saint Expedite. And on one side, there was like a pound cake. On another side, it looks like it was like a everything bagel. And then like in the middle, it looked like, I don't know, some sort of loaf of bread. And they all had a candle in the middle of it. And shit. And I'm like, really, y'all?
Oh, Lord.
If you notice, how many times do you ever see me post like on social media, like a work that I'm doing or an altar or whatever? Like,
Never.
I can count on this hand and not use all the fingers. With regard to that, but that's what I'm saying is that everybody wants to be in the limelight. They all want to be in this limelight because they're trying to either prove something to themselves or try to, prove something to everyone else how they're legitimate. The answer to that is no.
I mean, honestly,
I'm not saying that people, can't post, pictures of their altars or whatever. But when that shit looks like it was like a setup on a stage where you're trying to do some Broadway shit, just get out of my face.
I want an everything bagel now too. Lisa said she was wanting a bagel now that you brought that up.
Lisa, you want a bagel? Lord, hold on for me 1 second. Lord, I'm sorry, y'all.
Yvette brought up about glitter for you, Papa.
Yvette, you know how I feel about glitter. I'm just saying. You know how glitter is the bane of my existence.
True, y'all. Very true.
Papa, I did have a question for you when you get done. Because this is something that I had that people have been bringing up to me. And I made a little post about this. So it was something that I was like, I know how I feel about it. I'm just kind of curious to see how you feel about it. Someone asked me about black mastic, which is an old, that's something that people used to use as an adhesive for tiles that contains asbestos in it. And obviously with having the asbestos in it, they were wanting to make something that I had never heard of before, which was a conjure rice, that they were going to use it. And I was like, well, for me personally, I told her, I was like, look, asbestos is something that it can cause damage to you You don't know the long-term effects of that. You probably don't know how to work with it. Probably should not be working with it.
What the hell is it called?
It's called black mastic. It's not even mastic gum because mastic gum's something totally different. This is called black mastic. But I mean, there's enter something else, mercury or, something that can cause damage to you physically that's basically been banned. That there's other ingredients.
Well, when it comes down to to that sort of thing, I can tell you, like with ingredients like, quicksilver or mercury or whatever, at least in Conjure, a lot of times when those ingredients were used, they were used, how you say, for not the best of purposes or reasons.
Right.
You have a cat vagina in your face.
Actually, her butt's towards the screen, so.
Yeah, you want to see a booty hole? There you go.
For real. Like, oh my God.
She's wanting attention.
But when it comes to some of those old, some of the older recipes and stuff like that were out.
Of course, she's gonna go. Sorry.
She probably pooed it on you and then jumped off.
No.
Lord. But some of the older ingredients, they, number one, the knowledge of what they could do, for example, the asbestos, what they could do to like the individual handling them, wasn't known at the time.
Right.
Right.
Now, do I say ditch the old recipes? No, I don't. Those recipes are there for a reason. However, knowing what we know now, as opposed to what we know then, or what we knew then, those are kind of like, two different stories. So would I encourage anybody to, to get something full of asbestos to use, in a work? I would not. Absolutely not. However, I will tell you that, like me personally, do I still use quicksilver? Mm-hmm. Sure do. Yes, I do. But we have to, we also have to understand that, when it comes to the progression of this work, that progression was one way and still is that way to this day, but there may have been a bit of an evolution to that.
Oh, and use that word that you don't like. She said.
No, I don't. No.
For you folks, she asked if you can do that, and that's a big no-no in his terminology.
No, because the thing about it is that there's more than one way to skin a cat. So whatever the work is, there's another way that can be doing it. If you're going to use that recipe, then you're going to use that recipe at the end.
Yeah.
But there's other ways to do it.
It's kind of like using gunpowder. A lot of people can't find gunpowder anymore, but you can make it. Yeah, I know, but I'm just saying most people, everyday folk can't.
I'm saying.
I know. So, you did have a question from Miss Lisa, by the way.
Yeah, you did.
What?
She wants to know how you feel about folks posting their work.
I can tell you this. For me personally, when it comes to that, I may have posted my work I don't know, maybe 6 times or so, 6, 7 times. But I never, ever, never, never do I post work until the work is done.
Yeah.
Because now there's nothing anybody can do about it. Because
Yep.
it's already done. So, you know, when it comes to that, like, and I don't really like, and that's not something that I really like to do anyway. Number one, because somebody can try to steal your work. Number two, somebody can try to work on your work. Or number three, somebody can try to take your work and use it as their own.
Yep.
So I just don't do that. And I don't recommend it. You know, like I said, you know, there's a lot of people who like to like post all these pictures of their altars and all this other stuff and, you know, blah, blah, blah. It's not something that I subscribe to, simply because what do I have to prove to you? Nothing.
Nope.
But, you know, and again, like if people want to do that, that's on them. Let them do. That's fine. Go ahead and maybe do what you got to do. But like for me, I'm not. Even when clients come to me and they want me to do spiritual work for them, like, you know, not all the time because they know better now. But you know, not all the time. But they'll be like, "Oh, can you send me pictures of the work?" Nope, I ain't sending you shit because my work is my work. The end.
Yep.
And so, you know, when you get down to it, because again, this is something that I personally hold extremely sacred. And so I'm not going to let it get into somebody else's hands. I'm not.
So Izzy was asking about Red Devil Lie.
Okay. What about it?
I guess she's wanting to know if you use it, or I mean, maybe she's wanting to know if you
Do I use it? Do I use it? No. I do not.
And Lisa said that's how she felt. It just makes her feel weird when she sees folks posting their work. But I'm,
you know, like, well, that's the thing is that, like, I can tell you this: if I see somebody, you know, posting their work, I can take nothing more than a photo of that work, and if I wanted to, like, I can fuck it up. I absolutely can.
Yep.
Because I know tricks that motherfuckers don't know.
Yeah.
I've been doing this almost 4 decades, so I know, you know, so I can. There's things, and so like, but I also know good and well enough not to be posting that shit on my own.
You know, and there's so many people that have the evil eye, Papa, that they will throw at it just for the fact that you posted it. You know, for no reason.
Well, and you are 1,000% right, TJ. But you know what else there is? Especially, you know, like nowadays, because we have so many motherfuckers that's so paranoid over everything.
Yeah.
That think that everything is about them.
Yes. Yes. You're absolutely right. Yeah.
And so what are you doing? Like, if you post the work that you're doing, what are you doing? You know, not only, you know, are you allowing somebody to, you know, come in, you know, to do something to your own work, and you know, if you know how to, it can be done. But at the same point in time, all you're doing is you're inviting, you know, the people, the me people who think that everything is about them, to be like, oh my God, you're working me. You're doing this. I know that this is about me. And I'm like, baby, not everything is about you. So why don't you sit the fuck down and shut your mouth? How about that? How about you do that?
And you know, since the social media age, it seems like it's just gotten worse and worse and worse over the time. You know, people are just thinking that everybody's out to get each other now.
but that's why I said earlier, like, I think that the term spiritual community is the biggest oxymoron on the planet.
Mm-hmm.
Because it's not. Everybody is about this and this and this and this and this and this and this, but when it comes to like community, oh, they trying to do something on me. Oh, they trying to take this away from me. Oh, they trying to steal this work of mine, and blah 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 blah.
For your KFC, you have the 11 herbs, secret spices recipes, but not everybody knows the amount that you're putting in it. Not everybody knows the love that you put into that.
Exactly. So go ask the Colonel and see what he has to say. I don't know.
I'd rather go to Popeyes.
Me too.
Mm-hmm.
So I mean, like I said, it's one of those things to where, like, do I do that? No, I'm not. Because and I'll tell you, actually, hold that thought 1 second. Give me 2 seconds. I'll be right back.
All right.
Oh.
Hi, Alicia. Good to see you. Hope you all are doing well.
Hey.
Hi, Tootie Collins.
Hey, Tootie.
Hi, everyone that's been joining us. We appreciate you being with us this evening. Obviously, we've got one of the best in the biz here, helping us learn a lot, and he's always knowledgeable when he throws down. So thank you all for being here. If you guys do have any questions, please don't hesitate. Feel free to ask in the comments, either on YouTube or on Facebook or on Amanda's page as well. So, yeah, it's fun. If you guys do have any recommendations that you would like to see for someone to be on Three Crows Conversation, please let us know. We'd love to hear from you.
Or any topics that you guys want to talk about. I mean, we're all up for that. I mean, I really want to dive in and not just have people on the show, but also to talk about different topics and, just connect with you all. So.
It's a good one. Hey, Daniel, good seeing you.
I think we've hit on so many good topics about tonight, and I'm so grateful Papa came on. Now, I will tell you, I'm very, very blessed to have him as my Papa,
Mm-hmm.
And I will tell you, on any growing journey, it
Ask him how cold he's going to be in December.
Oh, Lord. Hey, Papa. So if you wanted to know how cold are you going to be in December?
You better give me some toe socks and like 6 blankets. It's going to be cold, and I ain't fucking with that shit. I'm just saying.
We're going to have to send him an isotone or one of those heating blankets.
Yeah. He's going to be wrapped up in one.
I ain't messing with all that. I don't do all that shit. No. I don't have time for all that. That's food. No, it's foolishness.
You can always come up here, Papa.
Huh?
Yeah, exactly.
It'll be cold. Mm-mm. No, I ain't doing all that. No. But what I was gonna say is that, like, people like to talk about. Yeah, give me a grandpa sweater, motherfucker.
Give him that one with the reindeers.
Yeah, with that lights up. That's the one. Lord. But what I was gonna say was, a lot of people, they love to, like, like, post work, like, at their altars and shit. No, ain't New Hampshire in January. Oh, I ain't messing with all that. No, indeed.
Oh, Lord.
No. Can't mess with all that. No,
You know what? They got a good Italian restaurant down in Salem, New Hampshire.
Yeah, I'm sure that they do. I will not be there in January.
We could set something up for Christopher, would you?
I
bet we could set something up with Christopher. Amanda could.
You could talk to him.
No, even Christopher knows. I already told him that. I'm like, I ain't coming in January. No, if it's cold, I ain't coming. Nope.
Well, come on.
Go up. The latest I will go up there will be like October in an October. That would be the latest month that I would go up there. I actually talked to him a few days ago.
Oh Lord,
sure did. Mm-hmm. But anyway, but what I was gonna say is that a lot of people like to post they like to post work at their altars and stuff like that. Well, y'all want to know a secret? The majority of the work that I do is not at my altars. Mm-hmm. Nope. Do you know why? Because when you're doing work, you take the work to where those spirits live. Mm-hmm. And that's where that work is done. It's not done at your altar. And so, again, we have to be wise and we have to be cunning in those regards. Because, and if you take it back to the old school, were there altars in our houses?
No.
When I was a kid, do you know what the altar was?
What's that?
The kitchen table. Mm-hmm. That was the altar, and that's where you started the work, and then you took the work to where the spirits lived.
Yeah, that makes complete sense.
Makes total sense.
So yeah, what did you say, Danielle? It is not, cold is not a perception of the brain. It's cold because it's cold. No,
I gotta call him out. He lives in Iowa, so he's not that far from Omaha, Nebraska.
It's still cold. Yeah. I mean, I'm gonna go to Omaha in December, and when you see me in Omaha in December, did y'all ever see that movie, The Christmas Story? When he was like, I can't put my arms down, that's gonna be me.
I'm not going to go now.
I'm just saying, because I ain't messing with all that shit. I am not fucking with all that.
Yeah. Since you brought up about The Christmas Story, Yvette was talking about, especially after Cleveland last February.
Well, yeah, then there's that. I still have my flip-flops on, even though it was snowing outside. It was.
I know. We couldn't make it because it was snowing so bad.
I said, I said, no, indeed, because I had, there was something I had to do, and it was snowing outside, and I was like, hold up. I said, what? Oh, no, what is that? Because, no, if it's snow outside, I don't come out the house.
No. Well, Izzy says she's going to put your ass on live.
I swear to God, if you put my ass on live, you don't have a problem. Because no, it's foolishness. Yeah, no, I'm not even messing with that shit. No, I see one snowflake, I ain't leaving.
I like this one. Beth said, doing your work at your altar is like shooting where you're eating.
Oh, shitting where you eat?
Mm-hmm.
Mm-hmm.
Well, and the thing is, I don't discourage people from doing work at their altars, because their altar is a place of power and it is a place of work.
Yeah.
But the way that I was brought up is that the majority of, not all, but the majority of the work that you do is done where those spirits live. because that work is taken to them. So,
Well, it makes sense, because a lot of the work you're going to meet at the crossroads with spirits. You're not going to do the crossroads work at your altar.
no, not necessarily. You can. It can be done, but
I know, but it's about going to where they're at, like you said.
well, whether it's the crossroads, whether it's the graveyard, whether it's the railroad tracks, whether like it's the marketplace, whatever, it doesn't. It's you're taking it where that work is going to have the most effect.
Yes.
Yes.
Mm-mm. No.
We're looking forward to that live, Izzy.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. I wish you would. I wish you would. No. But
She said she's going to have the December classes posted this week.
Yes.
oh yes.
Mm-hmm.
So so in December, what is it? December the 10th to the 14th. I'll be in Omaha. Well, there'll be a few of us, several of us actually in Omaha. And there's going to be classes, and there's going to be some ceremonies that is going to be done, and so it's going to be a good time. But if it's cold, I ain't coming out. No, I go from one heated place to another heated place. That's all I do. I ain't doing all that.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah.
No, it'll be good for you. I don't think you'll be that bad. It gets been there. I don't know. It could get cold this year.
Listen, every time I go to Omaha, I could go to Omaha in fucking July and it's gonna snow. I don't know why, but it's the truth. It's the truth. As is, every time I come to Omaha, it like snows or there's a cold front, and it'd be freezing. I'm like, what is this?
It wasn't like that the last time you went, though, right?
Yes, mm-hmm. It was cold. It was cold. Mm-hmm. For the first like 3 days or 2 or 3 days. Oh yeah, no, it's cold. No, Izzy, I'm smoking in the reading room. I'm just saying.
Oh Lord.
It's snowing outside. I ain't going out there. No, I'm be giving offerings to the spirits in the reading room. Thank you.
Well, Daniel said he'll be there.
Good. Daniel need to be there.
Oh, he asked me all kinds of questions. He'll have all kinds of questions for you.
After these ceremonies that's going to go on in December, he probably won't have questions after that. I can promise you.
Oh, you think so, huh?
Mm-hmm. It's going to be something.
Oh.
But, like, Tootie, I'm from New Orleans. Like when you get down to it at the end of the day, with all this, remember, like it's not only about like honoring the relationship and continuing the relationship with your spirits, but what it's about is about continuing to build and solidify that relationship that you have with your spirits. That's what it's about. So yeah, and so like that's kind of like that's that's a part of what we do. That is what we do.
It's like Sunday for eating fried chicken with your ancestors. You go do it every Sunday. You sit down and have dinner with your ancestors. That's just part of the culture.
Yeah.
Yep.
Well, I know growing up, Sunday dinner was just, in general, you were there.
Oh, you better not miss it.
Wait, miss what? What I miss?
No, Sunday dinner.
Yeah, Sunday dinner.
Oh, no, you don't never miss Sunday. No, you miss Sunday dinner. People be looking at you with the side eye.
Yes.
Mm-hmm.
Where
Yes.
you was? Mm-hmm.
The hell you been doing?
Mm-mm.
Why weren't you there? Yeah. Well, thank you, Papa, for this evening. Thank you.
Mm-hmm.
Does anybody have any questions that they want to ask?
Yeah, y'all got any questions you want to ask? Cause I'm here now.
They're all asking about fried chicken. They need to be asking you something.
We can get some fried chicken going. I can fry the fuck out of a chicken. Let me tell you.
Same here.
Mm-hmm. Sure can.
Mm-hmm.
Mm-hmm. I use a little bit of cornmeal in my chicken, just so you know.
Oh yeah, and of course buttermilk.
Yes.
Well, yeah, you soak it in the buttermilk first, and then yeah. Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Do you use what's your hot sauce you like?
Huh?
What hot sauce you like?
I like Louisiana hot sauce, and I also like Tabasco, depending on what I'm eating it with.
Yeah.
If I'm eating greens, I like Tabasco.
Yes.
If I'm eating eggs, then I like Louisiana hot sauce.
Yeah.
Yes.
That's
Oh,
awesome.
yeah. Oh, and Misty, Pickles is like he's on guard by being asleep in my bed. Oh, Chris has a very interesting. Oh Lord, that is a soap. Chris, that is a soapbox.
Oh.
Oh no.
You want me? Here you go.
So here's the thing: is that there's always been a controversy when it comes to Paulo and it comes to like the gay community. And I will tell you, the majority of where that controversy stems from is Cuba. Back over, like with the Bantus and such, it didn't really exist like that. But because when Paulo essentially those practices were brought over and those slaves went into Cuba, uh, the Cuban philosophy is a very, how you say, machismo. Like, even though, like, I can tell you this, I can tell you that there's a whole lot of paleros who like to get they dick sucked in the bushes or pretend like that they straight, just so you know, because I'll call it out and don't care.
I think you just said everything about some of the Congress.
So, but the controversy is that they talk about these treaties that were made between, like, like the elders uh, in Palo, and these treaties that were made, basically prohibited gay people and women from being in Palo. And so it's been kind of like a back and forth thing that goes on. But here's my answer to that is that if a spirit or an impungo calls you, who are you to say no? They call you for a reason. Do they give a shit about if you're sticking your dick in a pussy or you're sucking a dick? No, they don't care about none of that because it ain't got nothing to do with none of that. But what it has to do with is the service that you can give and the vessel that you can be for those spirits, you see. So that's my answer to that, Chris, and I hope that that helps you out because that's just the way that it is. And if anybody wants to challenge me, then please, baby, go ahead.
Well, Papa, someone said it best when, they said when you cut somebody, what color's their blood? It's red.
Of course it is.
But can you tell who that person is if you put those drops of blood out on the line? Who is it? Black, white, gay, whatever.
Absolutely. And that was Tootie's good. Tootie's asking about a couple of things that somebody could do for protection. One of the things that you can do, which is a very potent remedy, and hold on a second, Tootie. Tata Kev, will you challenge me to a duel? I'm gonna duel my fist right across your face.
Oh Lord.
I swear to God. With yourself. Lord have mercy. Or the Bigfoot. All 5'2" of you. Lord, yeah.
Can we get that on live? I want to see that.
I know, right? It only take about 3 seconds.
Where is he? He is he.
Lord. Careful, you know I love you. Yeah, yeah. Anyway.
Good to see you, Tata.
Protection, like one of the things that's a very easy thing that one can do, but it is a very potent thing. 5'2" a daddy, my beige ass. Get out of here. Lord. You can take 4 railroad spikes, and this is basically to fortify your house. What you do is you take 4 railroad spikes, you get them on a pan, like a heat-resistant pan or whatever, and you're going to put Florida water on them, and then you're going to light them on fire. Izzy, this duel is not going live. And what you're going to do is you're going to light them on fire, let them burn until they're done. And then once they're done and you let them cool for for a bit, you're going to take and you're going to wrap it. You're going to wrap it in red string, the railroad spike. You're going to wrap it in red string. The iron and the red and the color red is sacred to Saint Michael. And then what you're going to do is you're going to take 1 railroad spike and you're going to plant it in the ground, just like that. Yes, just like that. You're going to plant it in the 4 corners of your property. If you have an apartment or a condo, get 4 potted plants, and you're going to put 1 in each corner of the house, and you're going to plant it in each of those things. And that will fortify your house from things being able to how you say
Look at that. All the questions coming out of the woodwork now that you got one going.
Oh, I know, yeah. Lord.
Lisa had one.
What
Jake, can you put it up?
Yeah.
the best thing that you can do, Lisa, is that when it comes to feed your spirits each morning before you go to work. Give them coffee. And then let them come to you after they've had their coffee, of course, because you know they gotta have to have the coffee. And then let them come with you, to work. And you've already fed them in a way. You've already fed them, so they're coming to you with you, I should say, to work. So that will kind of balance out the demanding side of the job that you're doing, and will also help to keep up your energy, because what they're going to do is they're going to start pouring their energy into you.
Then there's this.
A wooden stake and a hammer.
You forgot the garlic.
When it comes to energy vampires, honestly, like the best protection from that is to keep them at an arm's length And of course, whether somebody is an energy vampire or not is a trial and error process. But if they become that, is to keep them. Sometimes, y'all, you have to understand. Sometimes a cigar is just a cigar. And so sometimes what people, they try to do is they do try to like take your energy for themselves, and they're not necessarily meaning to do it. So there's no harm that needs to be done to them, but more along the lines of it's just like keeping them at an arm's length so that how you say, like, doesn't continue, if you will. And so, like with that, the other thing that you can do is if you can get an iron nail and you can wear the iron nail like a necklace or whatever. You can wear an iron nail that will stop that from essentially like that energy that they're trying to suck out of you from being taken from you. You can stop that from happening.
We had a couple questions about the spikes. Joanne was asking if there's any psalm or prayer that she should be saying over the spike that you recommend.
That I recommend would be Psalms 91.
Okay.
Psalms number 91.
And then Crystal Bush asked, with the railroad spikes, one of the corners of her apartment is a bathroom. Does she put that spike there or outside?
In the bathroom, wherever the corner is, put it in there.
There you go.
So, like with that, Crystal, what I would do is I would put like maybe a potted ivy or something that thrives in the steam, like of the shower, in the bathroom, and just hang it and then plant the spike in that.
Okay.
And then initiations into voodoo. The first thing that you would need to do, Chris, when it comes to initiations into voodoo, is that you need to talk to a mumbo or an unga, and then there's a reading that needs to be done. But I can tell you, when it comes to the voodoo, there's a reading that needs to be done first, but also at the same point in time, it's going to develop into like them seeing who you are. Because even though a reading may say yes, it's not just about the reading, but it's about a fit. And it's about a fit into a particular societe.
What's wrong?
You're talking about how can I stop being a chick magnet? I don't. When were you ever a chick magnet? I'm just saying. Lord have mercy. I swear to God. Yourself. Because you pocket sized. I'm just saying.
All right. I think.
Wait till he meets Amanda. I swear.
What?
Careful.
You pocket sized. The end. You don't got to worry about being a chick magnet. You pocket sized.
I'm trying to see if there's any other questions. Angel Obsidian asked about astral projection besides Archangel Michael. Papa, do you know much about?
Say, huh?
I don't really understand what they're saying.
I don't know what they're asking. Can you be a little more clear on what you're asking?
Angel Obsidian?
Judy, okay.
That one?
Yes.
Could you elaborate if this is a question or you just making a statement or?
And then Judy has a question.
Yeah, let's go to Judy's until we hear back.
I see that. And honestly, ask the person who they are. Because I mean, it could very well be like one of your ancestors that's just calling out to you because there's some sort of a service that needs to be given that hasn't been given at the moment. I mean, that's quite a possibility. But like if a spirit calls out, I'm like, who are you? If I don't know the voice of that spirit, I need to know who they are. So you could tell me.
Yeah, I've had that one.
Oh, Misty asked a question about my take on being initiated into Lukumi or Santeria and Voodoo. And here's what I will say to this. Number one, the biggest thing is it depends on the order that it's done in. But number two, does it happen? Yes. Can it happen? Yes. Usually the reason why it happens is because there is an ancestral line on the voodoo side that needs to be taken care of, as well as the Lukumi side.
Okay.
But like if somebody who like if you've been crowned in Lukumi or crowned, in Santeria, if somebody comes to me, like normally it's like absolutely not. I will do a reading, but I also will require you to go to a Babalao to do a reading as well, so that both sides can be confirmed, for that. Because typically in Lukumi, if you've been crowned, nobody else can touch your head. However, there are exceptions to that. And most of the time, not all of the time, but the majority of the time, those exceptions come from an ancestral need to initiate into the voodoo as well. Like with the voodoo, if you do the voodoo first and then Lukumi, that's one thing. But if you do Lukumi first and get crowned in Lukumi or Santeria, and then you want to go to voodoo, that's a little bit different. So, and most of the time, the exceptions for that have to do with an ancestral tie that needs to be addressed.
Okay. She said that's how she was taught, so she said, yes, you're definitely old school.
Oh, well, thank you.
So Angel Obsidian asked if, like, basically if there's another way to do astral protection, instead of just doing with the archangels.
Put a mirror facing out on all of your windows and all of your doors.
Okay.
Because if it's something that's coming to you astrally, then typically a mirror will reflect that from happening. If you have an issue, I would take a mirror, put it under your bed facing up. It doesn't have to be a big mirror either. It can be a little one.
Yeah, there's an interesting one. Just because a spirit interacts with a person on a few occasions does not mean they need to be initiated, right?
That's because she's being messy. Izzy is being messy. That's why. If a spirit interacts with you on a few occasions, does it mean that you need to be initiated? No. But when a priest or a priestess, listen, Izzy, when a priest or a priestess takes notice of such things, then, when they say, oh, this should probably happen, there's probably a reason for it. Asking for a friend, so I'm answering for a friend. Just say it.
Sounds like somebody needs to get their passport ready.
All right.
Go ahead.
Well, I wanted to say, Papa, thank you for coming tonight, joining us, talking to us, educating us, and also answering the questions. I appreciate it. your time and everything that you do. So thank you. Thank you, everyone, for joining us.
Well, thank y'all for having me on.
Spending time.
So December, don't forget if you're in the Omaha, Nebraska vicinity,
Be at the Conjure shop.
go
Yep.
to the Conjure shop. So you can.
The 10th to the 14th of December. We've
There
got
you go.
2 ceremonies going on, 4 classes, and a partridge in a pear tree. I don't know, something else.
Well, definitely bring him some hot sauce to help warm him up. He'll need it.
I will definitely need hot sauce for real.
Well, do you want to let people know how they can get a hold of you, or?
They can get a hold of me like on Facebook at Hoodoo Sen Moise, Instagram Hoodoo Sen Moise. They can go to my website, which is hoodoosenmoise.com, and get a hold of me. Any and all of those places. I'm always around somewhere.
Mhm. Yes, you are. Well,
Go ahead.
now go ahead and wrap it up, baby. You won.
I just
Oh,
want
yeah, you started it, so you got to finish it.
I got to finish it. Okay. I
Yeah.
want to thank everybody for joining us tonight, and thank you all for your wonderful questions and for listening. Thank you again, Papa, for joining us, and we'll see you next Sunday night at 8 p.m. Okay.
Wait.
Everyone, have a good night.
Next Sunday night.
Not you.
No, I was about to say, did I miss something? Because
Yeah, you go do this every Sunday. You go be up here.
What?
No.
All right, yeah. Well, they'll see y'all next Sunday night at 8 p.m. Y'all Eastern Standard Time. I will probably not. Well, maybe. I don't know. It just depends. But yeah.
See what goes on. All right, y'all. Have a good night.
All right, y'all. Have a good evening. Blessings to everybody.
Yes.
All right. Bye-bye.
Bye bye. Jesus.